I have biracial children. I have a son who is half Mexican, and I have two daughters who are half Black. But even if I did not have biracial children, this would be one of the most concerning things I have ever seen come out of the U.S. government. I came across the Department of Homeland Security post yesterday morning, November 28th, that said that the plan is remigration now. And I did a deep dive into remigration. And I read Project 2025, so I know that the goal of the country for Project 2025 authors is an all-white country, a country that looks like me but doesn't look like my children. And I did a deep dive into remigration, its history and what it means. And I cannot overstate how important it is for us all to become educated on this. I'm doing a series on remigration, and I will put it together in a playlist. I'm going to post them all today because we need to know all of this. But I don't ask you guys often, once in a while, to share this. But please share this for our neighbors of color, for our friends and our family members of color, and for 3 of my children, that if this policy goes through, could very well be stripped of their American citizenship. Share this, learn, and be on alert. And go love your neighbor.
Do you know why this tweet from Homeland Security is so dangerous, calling for remigration? As a former history teacher, let me explain to you why you need to understand the context and use of that term specifically and what it could mean for the United States. Also, we told you this would happen, but let's get to the history and how it's even being used today in Europe. Let's start by going back in time to Germany in the 1930s. I know, not the best place to time travel to, but you need to understand what the Madagascar Plan was. This was a plan set up by the Yahtzee government that intended to solve the Jewish question, historical educational purposes only. Their plan was to deport them to the island of Madagascar, just to get rid of them entirely, because again, it was all about ethnic cleansing. They wanted pure Germans, and that population, well, they weren't really German. In fact, they didn't even see them as human, so the best solution was to get rid of them. Now are you starting to see why it's so dangerous that Homeland Security is using that term remigration? And it's also picked up steam recently in Europe. Let's go to Italy, where Giorgia Meloni, the current prime minister, is advocating for these policies and even put them into place. And just to be clear, this is taking off throughout Europe, not just Italy. It has been propagated by far-right groups across the continent over the past several years. But Italy is where it's actually starting to take off, as it were, because they do not have birthright citizenship. Being born in Italy does not guarantee you the right to live there or become a citizen. Unlike the United States, where we have the 14th Amendment and the protection of birthright citizenship. And by the way, the current administration is challenging that. They want to strip people of their citizenship and get rid of birthright citizenship to make it like Italy. So even if you have legal status here, you're living in a country legally like Italy, and you have a child there, that child is not guaranteed citizenship or even legal status. And in Italy, people are concerned that their children, even though they are there completely legally, could be deported to a country that they have never seen or known. And that's what they want to try and do here in the United States, because again, you've probably heard of something else called the Great Replacement Theory, propagated by far-right podcasters, news figureheads. I use that term loosely. This has been going on for decades, and now it's in motion. It was written down in Project 2025. You didn't listen, and here we are today. And now the Department of Homeland Security is blatantly dog-whistling white supremacist groups, far-right groups, by using the term remigration, which is just a fancy way of saying YT supremacy and ethnic cleansing.
Well, the official Homeland Security account is once again advocating for remigration, a term that has a very dark history in far-right politics. They said the stakes have never been higher and the goal has never been more clear. Remigration now. Then down here they post 2 times saying help arrest them, help deport them, please join ICE. For anybody who's unfamiliar with this term, here's what it means. It's a European far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white minority populations, especially immigrants, and sometimes including those born in Europe been holding European citizenship to their place of racial ancestry. This isn't a neutral word. It is a dog whistle with a very specific and dangerous meaning. They're essentially saying they want to go after every single person who is not white in this country, even if you came here the legal way. That includes people who were born here but may have parents or even grandparents that weren't born here. They're going after them too, anybody who's not deemed white enough. And even worse, they're posting links encouraging the general public to help arrest and deport innocent people. This is not how American law enforcement or immigration enforcement is supposed to work at all. U.S. policy should be grounded in the law, in the Constitution, not imported extremist far-right ideology.
President Trump wrote on Thursday, quote, "Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation." On Friday, DHS posted, quote, "Remigration now." As you probably know, this term has been used in different situations, but including by the far right in Europe to call for the mass deportation of non-white immigrants. How specifically does the Trump administration define remigration?
Well, President Trump has been working towards cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden left us ever since he came into the White House.
But how do you define that word, Secretary Noem? How do you define that word?
Well, first of all, we have criminal illegal aliens we've been targeting since day one. We have removed millions of people from this country already just in the few short months that President Trump has been president by making sure we're going after criminal illegal aliens that are murderers, rapists, and criminals and getting them out of our country, bringing them to justice, and then encouraging people to go home. If you're here illegally and breaking our laws, you can leave now and you may get the opportunity to come back someday. But if you wait until we detain you, and we will deport you, and you'll never get the chance to come back to America and visit us or become a citizen. We're going to continue to do that, go after those criminals, go after those individuals that came in under programs that were broken on the Biden administration and people who were in place and leadership in that crazy 4 worlds we lived through, 4 years we lived through before President Trump came in. Thank God we have a president now that recognizes that letting all of these people into our country that we don't know who they are is dangerous, that we let in terrorists, we let in criminals, we let in mentally unstable people. They shouldn't be here. They're going to leave, and President Trump is going to ensure that Americans become first in the priority and that they're going to be safe on their streets again.
Secretary Noem,
Well, it looks like the Trump administration has moved into full Nazi phase. Trump's Department of Homeland Security has all this year tried to position immigrants as the enemy, and we have to defend ourselves against, the vile immigrants that are polluting the bloodstream of America. But yesterday, DHS, our Department of Homeland Security, tweeted, "The fight for Western civilization is just getting started. Join the fight." This is rhetoric from the Proud Boys. Western civilization, meaning white society under threat from Muslims and Hispanics and Africans. And, this is the rhetoric in white supremacist circles about defending Western civilization. But if that wasn't enough, then they post, "The stakes have never been higher and the goal has never been more clear. Remigration now." Remigration is a popular concept in neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups about rounding up non-white immigrants and sending them back to their ethnic country of origin. Remigration. Let's kick these people out. This isn't a Nazi group posting this. This is the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security is posting remigration now. Are you hearing this? This is our government talking about rounding up people and sending them back to their country of origin. Trump is using this horrible shooting in D.C., which is suspicious as hell. These two very young National Guard members who were shot by an Afghan national who was trained by the CIA as a pretext for locking down immigration. All asylum cases are paused. He's reviewing everybody who came in during the Biden administration. Like, there's this clampdown that's happening. Just yesterday, Trump tweeted, "The refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America." We know what this is. This is what racist fascism looks like. We're in a new phase, people. He used the Thanksgiving holiday, where he posted a picture of him as a pilgrim, to create a new racist fear-mongering policy in the Department of Homeland Security, remigration. What are you going to do about it? Right? We need to take this resistance up about 10 notches. We're moving into uncharted territory here, and either we stand up or we lose this country. Welcome to the resistance.